Oh, those reports about the demise of the Los Angeles Dodgers may have been a bit premature. The boys in blue currently leading the Atlanta Braves 13-0.
Is that all?
13-0. The Baker's dozen. 13-0 in Game 3 of the NLCS. Welcome to Bet. He's Tyler Fulgham. I'm Joe Fortenbaugh. We are here in Las Vegas at the Link Studios overlooking Caesars Palace. A lot of you check us out on Facebook and YouTube. We thank you very much for that. Twitter, I should have said as well. But on YouTube specifically, if you want to find all of our sports betting content at ESPN, youtube.com/ESPN Sports Betting. Right there at the bottom of the page. youtube.com/ESPN Sports Betting. It's Wednesday. That means we start the show by playing a little Let It Ride or Cash Out. Are you ready?
I'm ready, and I do hear tell that Let It Ride or Cash Out has kind of been upgraded, a new and improved version.
That's what they say. A little bit of a tease as to what we have in store for you. So, question number one, fine, sir. We will begin with you. Let It Ride or Cash Out. The Cleveland Browns will make the postseason this year.
So here's how this game has gotten better.
Ooh, this is gonna be
You're
interesting.
going to see my beautiful mug right there on Let It Ride. And let's just make it big so everyone
It's right
can
there.
see. So Mama Shram can see her little boy big and bright on Let It Ride. Yeah, the Cleveland Browns are going to make the postseason. They're 4-1 right now, and Kevin Stefanski's brought legitimacy to this team. And he's helped make Baker Mayfield more closely reminiscent to the guy that was worth the #1 overall draft pick. How? By building a dominant offensive line, and despite the loss of Nick Chubb, still running the rock efficiently. And you have Myles Garrett on the other side who can terrorize defensively. Joe, I said this last week on Daily Wager. I'll reiterate it here on Bet for our viewers. I see a lot of similarities, a lot of parallels between the 2020 Cleveland Browns and the 2017 LA Rams. That was
That's
Sean
a big
McVay's
endorsement.
first year in LA. They went 11-5 and made it to the postseason. Stefanski and McVay, two great young offensive minds. Baker Mayfield, Jared Goff, #1 overall picks who had looked shaky under different regimes, built their offenses on strong running games, and they had a game wrecker on defense, Aaron Donald and Myles Garrett. I think this team, like the 2017 Rams, is going to the postseason.
All right, now let's go ahead and just get that guy out of there.
Okay, fine.
Get him out of there.
Well, get him out of.
Technology isn't our strong suit, and we never promised you that, ladies and gentlemen. He will work on this. I will tell you that I am with you, kind sir.
I think
am
you're
going
stuck with
to
me.
Let it ride as well.
Just pretend
imagine
that,
this
pretend
being
that
me.
your face is my face.
Imagine that being me. 7 teams make the playoffs in each conference this year. 7 teams. So there's an advantage for the teams that are going to be on the bubble. Cleveland has never really been on the bubble.
Right.
They've never even been in contention, but this year's a good spot for them. They're 4-1 this year. Now, let's assume the divisional winners are the ones that are sitting there right now. Buffalo, Baltimore, Tennessee, Kansas City. That leaves 3 wild card spots. I'm already eliminating the Jets, the Bengals, the Texans, the Jaguars, the Broncos, and the Chargers from contention. That means it's Cleveland versus 5 other teams for three spots. Too much math. Like I said, tech's not my strong suit. Math is not my strong suit. The Patriots, the Dolphins, the Steelers, the Colts, and Vegas are the other 5 teams. And essentially what I'm getting at is Cleveland's got a better record than all of them but Pittsburgh, and they're going to play them this weekend. I just like the math here. I think you make a lot of good points, but for Cleveland to get to the playoffs, I like the math. Number 2, Let It Ride or Cash Out.
Okay.
The Dallas Cowboys will win the NFC East.
I hate
division
we've
this year.
talked about
Tough
this
division.
question so many times on Daily Wager and Bet here, and I hate it because it's a garbage division. But I do still think I'm going to let it ride.
Let it ride.
Let it ride.
All right, you let
on
it ride.
the Dallas
I'll point
Cowboys
here for you.
They have the most talent in the division, despite losing Dak Prescott. Andy Dalton is a serviceable pro quarterback. We've seen him put up some good numbers in a Cincinnati offense before, and this Dallas offense, I think, despite the issues they have at offensive line with the loss of Lyle Collins and, more importantly, Tyron Smith on his blind side, they still have an abundance of talent that Dalton can distribute the ball to, allow CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, Zeke Elliott to do the bulk of the work. Don't turn the ball over. I'll use the word game manager, but when you have guys like Gallup, Lamb, Cooper, and Zeke, you can be a little aggressive. Just don't put your defense, which is already bad, in bad situations. So if they do that, if Dalton can do that, I still think it's the best team in the division as far as talent is concerned. So I would let it ride on the Dallas Cowboys.
Dallas Cowboys winning the NFC East. I will be not following you. I will be cashing out. Give me some money for that chip. I
Who are you
don't
putting
care.
your money on?
Well, here's the thing. I don't care how bad the division is. I'm not betting on the team with the worst defense in all of football to win a division. I don't care what the division is. I don't care who the other teams are in the division. I don't care how bad all of it is. If you have literally the worst defense in the entire NFL, I'm not going to bet on you to win a division. The Cowboys are giving up 4 more points per game than the team in 31st, who happens to be the New York Jets, who are the laughingstock of the entire NFL at the current moment. Last week, they gave up 34 points to the Giants. In the 4 previous games the Giants played, they scored 47 points.
Yeah.
47
I
points in
know.
4 weeks, and then 34 on the Giants. I can't bet on that defense. I won't bet on that defense. Just give me the other 3, and I'm not going to commit to any of them.
Are we going to let it ride
as well.
on my face breaking the technology that we were supposed to use for this game?
I'll let it ride on that. It's a beautiful face. It's a beautiful face. If technology was going to break this thing, it might as well be that one. Number 3, let it ride or cash out. There will be an 0-16 team this season.
I am going to
You're going a cappella.
let it ride. I think
Let it ride
the Jets
again.
are that inept.
Do you know you have 2 options?
I know I have 2 options, but I do think I'm going to bet on the Jets being the 0-16 team. As long as Adam Gase is there, and he should have been fired long ago. I don't know what the Jets are doing as far as keeping him there, but as long as Adam Gase is there, I believe in their ineptitude. I believe they are a winless team.
I believe in Adam Gase.
I believe in Adam Gase's inability to produce wins with this New York Jet football team. So we heard him today say when someone pressed him on why you weren't able to make it work with Le'Veon Bell, he said that's irrelevant.
It's relevant.
It's very relevant because that's a player that was brought in to help your offense and you couldn't figure out how to make him effective. No, that is very relevant. That's a direct indictment on your coaching ability. So I'm going to let it ride on 0-16 New York Jetropolitans.
I'm cashing out. Give me money for that chip. The Giants are going to beat some loser in the NFC East. That's going to happen. It could be Washington, it could be Dallas, it could be Philadelphia. They will win at least 1 game. The Jets are eventually going to fire Adam Gase. And when they do, it will ignite the locker room into at least 1 win. They could possibly, if Atlanta loses the rest of the way out, I could see the Jets winning in like week 15 just to assure themselves they won't get Trevor Lawrence. That's how inept that team is. And for the Falcons, they have enough talent to stumble into at least 1 win. Let it ride or cash out.
Yeah.
Phillip Rivers will remain the Indianapolis Colts starting QB. I actually skipped one. Let me go back. Let it ride or cash out. Kansas City is not the best team in the AFC. Kansas City, not the best team in the AFC.
Well, my let it ride streak was going to keep riding if we were stuck in with Phillip Rivers, but since we're moving to Kansas City, I'm actually going to cash out on this. They are the best team in their conference. They're the best team in the NFL. Until they are unseated, until the strap is taken away from them. Look what they just did. The team that I thought was going to win the Super Bowl this year, the Baltimore Ravens, the team that might actually leapfrog them in their conference, they went to Baltimore and beat them by 2 touchdowns. So I still have belief that as long as Patrick Mahomes is healthy, not only are they the best team in the AFC, they're the best team in the NFL. So I will cash out on Kansas City not being the best team in their conference. So finally I got to use the other one there.
I am with you because we're saying not the best team, so then I'm cashing out as well.
Do a
I
little
believe they are the best team.
Gymnastics there with
a little
the
bit
verbiage.
of mental gymnastics. I like that.
Cashing out on that.
We are losing our mind over 1 loss. Did we expect them to go 16-0?
Exactly.
Like what? When they beat Baltimore a few weeks ago, everyone was screaming and yelling that they could go 19-0. Oh, did you figure it back out?
Yeah,
that is just wonderful. Look at that. There's 2
but
of them.
now it's a poltergeist situation
It's
over
like
here.
Total Recall with the guy and then Quaid busting out of his stomach. All right, let it ride or cash out. Next question. Phillip Rivers will remain the Colts starting quarterback. The one I jumped too early last time.
You jumped
Phillip
too early.
Rivers will remain the Colts starting quarterback.
Now I want to move my face over to let it ride here, but technology not allowing me to do that. Like I said, a tease earlier, I am going to let it ride on Phillip Rivers. They brought him in for a reason. They paid him for a reason. Jacoby Brissett's been capable before, but Phillip Rivers at this point in his career is that game manager, and I think that's what Frank Reich is building with this team. They have an awesome defense led by DeForest Buckner, who they brought over from San Francisco. They have Darius Leonard as well. I think they want to win low-scoring, close games, and I think Reich's kind of direction to Phillip Rivers is don't do what you just did this last game. Don't turn the ball over. Don't give the other defense points on a pick 6. Turn and hand the rock to Jonathan Taylor. Drop it off to Nyheim Hines. Use T.Y. Hilton whenever you can, but be a game manager because we have an awesome defense that can keep us in games.
I am letting it ride. I'm letting it ride with Phillip Rivers. They paid him $25 million for 1 year.
Yeah.
This is it. They're not going to have him for another year. They are stuck with Phillip Rivers. They are married to him for better or for worse, barring an injury. Jacoby Brissett is a great locker room guy. People love him. He's one of the best people you will ever come across. He's just a good human being, but he can't anticipate. He can't throw wide receivers open, and when you can't do that, your growth is severely limited. For his career, he's completing less than 60% of his passes. I like Jacoby Brissett. He's a hard worker, but he's not going to get you anywhere further than Phillip Rivers. You're married to Rivers for $25 million.
Yeah.
He's your guy. Next question, let it ride or cash out. Las Vegas, the Raiders will win a playoff game this year.
I'm going to cash out on that. But I will say I've been very impressed with the job John Gruden has done coordinating this offense behind Derek Carr. The addition of Henry Ruggs has made them very explosive. Josh Jacobs is the real deal. That offensive line's only going to get better, but I just don't think they're a complete team. I think you can take advantage of that defense. I do not see them winning a playoff game. That's if they make the postseason. Cashing out.
Las Vegas, I'm cashing out as well. They're not going to win the division. That means they're going to have to hit the road.
Right.
So even if they get to the playoffs, I don't want that defense in a road playoff game. 27th in scoring defense, 24th in total defense. Let it ride or cash out. Aaron Rodgers will win his third MVP award.
I'm going to let it ride on that. I think he gets his third here. We know what Green Bay has done so far this season.
You've been a big fan of him all year.
They play in a division that I think he can win 13, 14, maybe 15 games in that division. If that's the case, if they're the 1 seed and Rodgers has this kind of year, especially with some of the injuries he's had to deal with on the offense, let it ride, baby.
Let it ride. I am cashing out on that. This is Russell Wilson's award to lose. Now, he's the odds-on favorite at the moment. Not the odds-on favorite, but he's the favorite at the moment. He's carrying that team. He's doing everything.
Are you concerned the defense will let your boy down?
For 2 years. For 2 years, I've been concerned the defense is going to let it down. I keep betting against him. Now, thankfully, Minnesota covered this weekend.
Yeah.
22 of their last 27 games have been decided by one score. In those games, they are 17-5. 17-5 in those games, and it's because of him. Their defense is so bad. How do you have a 5-0 team that is giving up 471 yards per game? Every time I want to doubt that team and bet against them because, the defense is terrible, the spot's terrible, Russ rises above. He's the literal embodiment of the letters MVP. Rodgers is right there. I just can't get away from this guy.
It's a good question, Aguado, how they keep winning despite all those yards allowed.
Great question, Aguado. Final question here. Let it ride or cash out. Best Week 5 performance. Of all the performances we saw in Week 5, Chase Claypool, Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver. He was outstanding. 3 touchdowns against Philadelphia Eagles. Was that the best performance of the weekend?
Cash it out. Going with my boy, the best football player in the NFL, Aaron Donald. 4 sacks.
Against Washington.
He literally jumped on Alex Smith's back. He caused a fumble, 4 sacks. Him and Keith Millard are the only defensive tackles in history to have multiple 4-sack games. He might break the sack record this year. He's the best football player in the NFL. Just had to give my boy some props.
I didn't even include the other touchdown that Claypool put up as well. So he had 4 total touchdowns that he accounted for in that game. I like the game. I want to say it, but as soon as I read it, I'm like, nah, I'm not going to agree with this. I'm cashing out. I'm going with Derek Carr. Derek Carr went to Kansas City and outdueled Patrick Mahomes, the undefeated quarterback who no one was supposed to beat. Lamar Jackson couldn't get close. Everyone else who's taken a shot has come up short. Carr goes for 347 yards and 3 touchdowns. He wasn't perfect. He threw an interception in that game. But if you go into Arrowhead and you hang 40-plus and outduel Mahomes, you're going to get at least one nod from me at some point this season. That's the end of Let It Ride or Cash Out for this week. We've got to get to NBA odds for 2021. We've got the Rays and the Astros game 4 of the
series could be over soon.
Series could be ending. We're going to be previewing all of that, but we go to college football now, where Nick Saban, the big news of the afternoon, the head coach at Alabama, getting ready for a huge showdown with Georgia this Saturday. Number 2 versus number 3. Tested positive for COVID-19. Now, Saban released a message. He said he's not really feeling any of the symptoms. He's self-isolating, He's feeling fine, but he let the team know via a Zoom call, and he presumably is going to be limited in some capacity. We don't know if he's going to try to coach, how he's going to try to communicate with the team. Steve Sarkisian, the former head coach at Washington University, also formerly the offensive coordinator of the Atlanta Falcons, he will take over as the coach for the Tide. So coming into this game, Alabama was a 6.5-point favorite. Total was sitting about 56.5 today. It has now dropped down to about 4.5, depending on the book. What do you make of it?
Yeah, it's obviously a reaction to not having Saban potentially on the sideline there. You go from Nick Saban to Steve Sarkisian. I think that's a significant in-game coaching drop, if you ask me. I'm going to stay away from the sides and bet the over on the total at 56. I've watched Bama's defense this year, and it just doesn't look like a typical Alabama defense, and that's Nick Saban's calling card. He was on the sideline.
That's a pen drop.
He was on the sideline in a game where Lane Kiffin racked up like 650 yards. My Missouri Tigers may be better than I thought. They just beat LSU at home. But in that first game of the season against Alabama, they were able to secure 22 first downs in that game. They exceeded expectation offensively with a different quarterback than the one who did beat LSU. Sean Robinson was QB in that game. Connor Bazelak now the starter for Mizzou. So I just see a defense that's not quite as stout as I'm used to seeing. So I think Georgia will provide some points on the other side, especially since Saban likely not going to be there depending on what his retest shows. And Mac Jones and the Alabama offense, they are lighting up the scoreboard. They have shown they can outscore you with that stable of wide receivers that run 4-3s led by Jalen Waddle. I just think this is going to be a little bit high-scoring game. And like we saw in NFL football to start the year, the same thing in college football. The overs have been hitting. I like it in this game.
This is going to be what we like to call a roulette bet.
Oh!
I don't know why I'm giving you the chip in advance.
Well, I'll take it in advance.
I am going to be playing the under in this game. It was as high as 59 earlier in the week. It has been bet down to 56.5. Now, you have to ask yourself, why would it be moving against the total? Well, perhaps some of the smart guys out there who like to bet early in the week, who like to find and extract that value, have gotten involved, and for good reason. The last time we saw both these teams out there, Bama and Ole Miss were hanging 111 points on each other, and Tennessee and Georgia were putting up 65 points. So the image that's fresh in everyone's mind is lots and lots of points.
Right.
This is going to be more methodical, in my opinion. Georgia is a much better defense than anything Alabama's faced so far. Alabama is bringing a somewhat questionable defense to the table, still better than anything Georgia's faced this far. I think it's going to be very methodical. You and I have ourselves a roulette bet.
We got a roulette bet.
We're going under. For me, 56.5. You are going over. Okay. So, the NBA season concluded this past Sunday with LeBron James winning his 4th NBA championship. He also won his 4th Finals MVP award. He did it with 3 different teams. The debate between he versus Jordan for all-time GOAT is just
raging. Alive and well.
It's raging. It's doing great these days.
It's raging.
That is not what we are getting to. We are getting to the odds for next season. An early peek, sneak peek, if you will, at the 2021 NBA Finals odds. Now, we don't know when the season's going to start, but we at least have some odds. Thank you so much for this. Caesars Sportsbook by William Hill. The Lakers, the defending champs, the favorites at plus 375. Scroll down to the Bucks, plus 650. Why are they plus 650? They haven't even gotten out of the East. This year, they didn't even make it to the conference final. Why is Vegas so high on these guys?
They have the reigning 2-time league MVP and Defensive Player of the Year, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and they usually in the regular season end up with the best record over the last few years. So, and if we aren't in a bubble next year, home court advantage might matter a little bit more. So perhaps that's why they are considering that.
All right. I think this is a bit of a Dodger thing. The Dodgers are always so good during the regular season that even if they flame out, similar to how the Bucks have, at least the Dodgers get further, right?
Right.
People just know them as this powerhouse over the course of a 162-game season. And you have a Bucks team that is a powerhouse through the course of an 82-game season. So it makes sense to install them as the favorite when no one else has really usurped them, as we try to get a vocab word in today.
Love it.
Usurped them. The thing that stands out to me is, why would you want to take this risk knowing Giannis Antetokounmpo could leave? He could ask for a trade.
Right.
He's entering the final year of his deal. There's no way I'm laying that price. I'm going to play for plus 650 with the Bucks to win the title, not knowing the future and the state of affairs with their best player. So if you were going to pick somebody, and I'm going to want a dark horse from you too, but I don't want that now. If you're picking someone to win, where are you going?
Not the Milwaukee Bucks. How about we start with that? So process.
So we've eliminated one. There's 29 still on the board, including Detroit.
And this is not going to be like, a sexy pick or anything like that. But the team that's atop those that odds right there, it's the LA Lakers at plus 375.
Boo.
Okay. Just hear me out here.
Let me guess. LeBron and AD. Is that the analysis?
That's a good start to the analysis. They also have the $9.3 million mid-level exception and the $3.6 biannual exception that Rob Pelinka can use. The only players that are unrestricted free agents from their playoff rotation that could leave or don't have player options are Markieff Morris and Dwight Howard. So replaceable parts, it seems.
I would say.
And with those exceptions that Pelinka has to work with, and the roster already in place, LeBron and AD, and the destination and lifestyle that players can sell to their families and or wives. Hey, I made $20 million this year in Toronto, but honey, let's go make $9 million in Los Angeles and get you a nice house out there. If you're a 30-something veteran who has made your money, like Serge Ibaka, Danilo Gallinari, wouldn't you be interested in at least hearing the pitch from the LA Lakers?
Seeing Dwight Howard hold up that trophy has to have a lot of guys late in their career
J.R.
thinking,
Smith is
man,
shirtless, collecting more royalties on NBA championship checks.
How that guy continues to win titles is
So yeah,
beyond me.
and another thing I found real quickly, Joe, the Lakers. There's no like rhyme or reason to this, but it's just a trend that the Lakers have shown. In 1949, they won their first title. They won 4 more over the next 6 years. In 1972, they won an isolated title. But in 1980, when Magic showed up, they won 5 over the next decade. In 2000, when Kobe and Shaq combined, it was the start of a three-peat. In 2009, when Powell joined Kobe, they went back-to-back. So usually they win in bunches. That, again, it's just
All right,
something I noticed.
I kind of get behind
but,
it. If the Lakers win, they're going to win multiples. They don't.
Yes.
They don't screw around with just one.
This is the first of at least a couple for LeBron and AD together in LA.
I'm looking at the pricing for the Golden State Warriors at 8-1, and I'm thinking I'm going to play this now because I could see it dropping if they come out and they start playing pretty well, which they're capable of doing, or if they make a big splashy move. So 8-1, here's what I get. I get Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Andrew Wiggins as my starting 4. I also have the number 2 overall draft pick, which could be an impact player that comes in to help right away.
Or it can be used as a bargaining chip.
That is going to lead me to part B. But say it's a guy who comes in right away. All right, there's your starting 5, or you got depth from the bench. Now, this team is completely rested. They haven't played at all in over a year. After burning out in 5 straight trips to the finals, they got a gap year. You know how when you're coming out of college, but you don't want to join the real world, if you're fortunate enough to have some cash, wasn't me. But people who were able to do that, a gap year in Europe.
Gap year.
And then they come out. It was a gap year for
Highly
Golden State.
suggest you do that, or at least offer mom and dad the option.
Yeah, Mom and Dad, you have the option of sending me to Europe for about 3 months. I think 8-1 is going to end up dropping.
Okay.
I think they're going to come out hungry, the whole revenge tour thing. Then there's part B. Maybe Wiggins isn't back. Maybe the number 2 pick isn't back. Maybe that's used for, dare I say, they try to figure out how to bring in Giannis. They try to figure out how to bring in Bradley Beal. There were some rumors of that.
Sure.
They could bring in another star. And if it's going to be Steph and Klay and Draymond and Bradley Beal, 8-1, if they start off 10-2, 14-4, that number's going to shrink. I want to get out of the market. But if I'm looking for a bigger price, where am I going dark horse?
Back on that screen that showed the odds, I noticed the Denver Nuggets were 20-1.
The Nuggets.
And the Denver Nuggets were, what, just the 2 seed in the Western Conference?
They
I
gave
believe?
the Lakers all they could handle.
And they were a 2 or 3 seed, regardless of what seed they were, a top 4 seed, which is home court. Jokic is a star. We know that. Jamal Murray took his game from, all right, this is a good player, maybe a very good player, to now a bona fide superstar bucket getter in crunch time in the postseason.
No doubt.
And Michael Porter Jr. finally got his first taste of the NBA, and I think if Michael Malone is willing to stretch Porter to 30, 35 minutes a game, despite the issues that he has on the defensive end of the floor, it's still going to be a net positive for the Nuggets because offensively, how are you going to stop Jokic, Murray, and a 6'10" sharpshooter like Michael Porter Jr.? Questions that do arise: does Jeremy Grant come back? Do they pay him, or does he leave for more money elsewhere?
Greener pastures.
Exactly. Will Bart was hurt this entire postseason. We didn't see him. Does he go somewhere else, or does he try and reacclimate himself to the rotation? There's just so much talent on this team. Few can run a big 3 out there like Jokic, Murray, and Porter Jr. when they're playing at their best. So at 20-1. I like the Nuggets. They're shown they have the championship medal coming back from down 3-1 in 2 series this postseason.
I was looking at New Orleans at 50-1, but I wasn't going to take the bait. I got to see Zion for a full season.
Yeah.
The weight issues, the conditioning, who's going to be the head coach. You're talking about Stan Van Gundy and other individuals. I got to wait and see there. So I'm going to skim back a little bit. 25-1, the Dallas Mavericks. Now, I think I'm probably a year ahead of schedule here. Because Dallas is going to be financially in play to make some splashy moves in 1 year.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. But I like it this year at 25-1. Luka Doncic has made his case for one of the best players in the NBA.
Already top 5.
They had a solid season going 43-32. They made a little bit of noise in the bubble. 25-1, I'll dabble. Dabble with Dallas.
I like that. That's a good one as well because Porzingis and Doncic, those two together can form one of the most unstoppable duos in the NBA because of their Doncic's skill and ability, and he's a 6'8" point guard, like LeBron basically, and KP is a 7'3" Durant basically. I mean, that's a skill set. So that team is dangerous.
You can't really coach that.
And they have tremendous role players who know their role. Guys like J.J. Barea, Dorian Finney-Smith, Tim Hardaway, and the like. They know their role. They have a well-constructed team. And if they have that max slot in 2022, watch out for the Mavericks.
All right. So, Game 4 of the American League Championship Series is not that far away. It's tonight, and it's going to be the Rays and the Astros. The Rays have been absolutely annihilating the Astros. Glasnow versus Greinke tonight. Glasnow, it's not going to be that, hey, we're going to send you through the lineup one time like we did against the Yanks. He's going to have a full-on opportunity to start. Zach Greinke's coming into this game with an extra day of rest, looking to save the season for the Houston Astros. Just before we get into any game picks, props, any of that stuff, how are the Rays doing this? How are the Rays who spend no money going up against a team that's been, 4 trips now to the ALCS? They had to smash through the Yanks. All these teams that spend cash and acquire these top guys. Here are the little old Rays just grinding along with a 3-0 lead on the precipice of the World Series.
They've done great jobs winning trades. With my Cardinals, for instance, that's where they got Randy Arozarena, who has turned into Mookie Betts, basically, for the Tampa Bay Rays in that order. Guys like Blake Snell, solid veteran acquisitions like Charlie Morton. Their analytics department must be the best in the game because they identify things that fit, that they see as market inefficiencies, whether it's salary or spin rate on your fastball or curveball, and they attack aggressively. So they're just amazing. I don't know why more teams aren't trying to pluck executives from that organization.
Pedro Gomez had a great story up on ESPN today about how they're doing this. And I was going through it because I'm thinking, we know they don't spend money. So they've got to be really good at finding good players for cheap. They pride themselves on character as well, having scouts who have great relationships all throughout baseball and being able to identify guys that are going to fit clubhouse culture, guys that buy into what they want to do. And then in addition, you go out there and look at all the guys that they're getting massive production from who don't cost anything. I think Charlie Morton's the highest paid guy on the roster.
I was going to say, who are the 2 players making more than $10 million?
Charlie Morton and Kevin Kiermaier.
Yeah,
those are the 2. Outside of that, you got guys like Blake Snell, Margot. You have so many different players who are on arbitration. Tyler Glasnow, all these guys are nowhere near unrestricted free agency. You're getting an incredible steal on them.
Yeah, and credit to not only their scouts, but their coaches as well, because these guys that have come from other organizations like Arozarena, like Glasnow. Glasnow was not this level pitcher when he was in Pittsburgh.
He was not.
He was drafted high. He was expected to be that, but Pittsburgh did not develop him. Tampa did. Arozarena was a coveted prospect for the Cardinals, but they traded him, and now he's living up to all those tools that he brought to the table with Tampa, not with St. Louis. So credit to the coaches as well for unlocking the potential that the scouts and executives find from these pieces that they acquire.
So if you're going to bet, by the way, if you're Pittsburgh watching Garrett Cole pitch against Tyler Glasnow, you had to hate that in Game 5 of the ALDS. Give me a bet. We haven't done a lot of these today because there aren't as many games, but what are we thinking?
All right, I'm going to call a home run.
A home run.
I'm going to call a home run.
You're going to call your shot like the
I'm going to call my shot George Springer. I'm going to get a Springer dinger, and here is why. Tyler Glasnow allows 2.45 homers per 9 to right-handed hitters. It's less than 1 to lefties. So I want to target a right-hander in that Houston lineup. His WOBA, we love that, weighted on base average, 394 against right-handers this season. His ISO is above 290, that's isolated slugging percentage, and 9 of his 15 home runs in the regular season for Springer came on fastballs. What's Glasnow's bread and butter? 98, 99 mile an hour cheese. So if he leaves one of those over the middle part of the plate, Springer fully equipped to take advantage of it and knock it over the wall. Plus 275, calling my shot on the Springer dinger.
Can you trademark that or at least get a hashtag
I'm sure that's already been
used. Or is that already out there, Springer dinger?
Sure, that's already been out. I'll try.
I am going to go ahead and I'm going to take a shot on America's favorite team, the Astros, tonight. Plus 125, plus 130. The team all of America wants to see. Plus 124 is where they are now. That is the price we will be playing.
I'd rather call them America's team than the Dallas Cowboys.
I probably would as well. To be honest, all the teams from Texas just despise these days. Greinke's on the mound. He's got an extra day of rest in this situation. I think there's some value on the pricing. Tampa versus lefties, Tampa versus righties, 2 very different things. They don't hit righties all that well, and the public's going to be all over the Rays. It's just a contrarian play.
I like it.
I'm going to fade the public. That is a show. That's what they call it. It's a show.
Sorry, my face ruined. Let it ride or cash out.
It's all right. If it's going to be one of those faces,
I'll work on it.
We will see you tomorrow. YouTube.com/ESPN Sports Betting.